A lot of games make a big deal out of player choice, but few in recent memory offer so many intricate ways of approaching any given situation. In Fallout 3, developer Bethesda Softworks' latest role-playing game, these choices aren't just illusory branches of dialogue. You'll fulfill or dash the spiritual hopes of an entire society, side with slavers or their slaves, and decide the fate of more than one city over the course of your journey through the Washington, D.C. wasteland. Your actions have far-reaching consequences that affect not just the world around you, but also the way you play. And it's this freedom that makes Fallout 3 worth playing and replaying.
Because in Vault 101, no one ever enters, and no one ever leaves.
It's the year 2277, and you and your father are residents of Vault 101, one of many such constructs that shelter the Earth's population from the dangers of post-nuclear destruction. When Dad escapes the vault without so much as a goodbye, you go off in search of him, only to find yourself snagged in a political and scientific tug-of-war that lets you change the course of the future. As you make your way through the decaying remnants of the district and its surrounding areas, you encounter passive-aggressive ghouls, a bumbling scientist, and an old Fallout friend named Harold who has, well, a lot on his mind.
It was a long time ago. I tend to lose track.
The city is also one of Fallout 3's stars. It's a somber world out there in which a crumbling Washington monument stands watch over murky green puddles and lurching beasts. You'll discover new quests and characters while exploring, of course, but traversing the city is rewarding on its own, whether you decide to explore the back rooms of a cola factory or approach the heavily guarded steps of the Capitol building. In fact, though occasionally silly asides and amusing dialogue provide some respite, it's more serious than previous Fallout games. It even occasionally feels a little stiff and sterile, which diminishes the sense of emotional connection that would give some late game decisions more poignancy. There are more tidbits here than you could possibly discover on a single playthrough. There aren't as many quests as you would expect, but their complexity can be really astonishing. Just be sure to explore them fully before pushing the story forward, because once it ends, the game is over, and that means you'll need to revert to an earlier save game if you intended to explore once you'd finished the main quest. Fallout 3 does the series proud where character development is concerned, given that it uses a similar system of attributes, skills, and perks. The special system from previous Fallouts governs your attributes, letting you tailor your strength, perception, and other important core aptitudes. From there, you specialize in a number of skills, from heavy weapons and lockpicking to item repairing and terminal hacking. You'll further invest in these skills each time you level, and you'll also choose an additional perk. Perks offer a number of varied enhancements that can be both incredibly helpful and a bit creepy. Although you can play from an odd-looking third-person perspective, Fallout 3 is best played from a first-person view. Where combat is concerned, you'll play much of the game as if it is a first-person shooter, though awkwardly slow movement and camera speeds mean that you'll never confuse it for a real FPS. Armed with any number of ranged melee weapons, you can bash and shoot attacking dogs and random raiders in a traditional manner, but even with the slight clunkiness, combat is satisfying. Shotguns have a lot of oomph, plasma rifles leave behind a nice pile of goo, and hammering a mutant's head with a giant super sledge feels momentously brutal. Just be prepared to maintain these implements of death, because weapons and armor will gradually lose effectiveness and need repairing. It's heartbreaking to break a favored weapon while fending off super mutants, but it reinforces the notion that everything you do in Fallout 3, even shooting your pistol, has consequences. These aspects keep Fallout 3 from being a run-and-gun affair, and you shouldn't expect to play it as one. That's because the most satisfying and gory moments of battle are products of the Vault-Tec Assisted Targeting System, or V.A.T.S. This system is a throwback to the action point system of previous Fallout games in that it lets you pause the action, spend action points by targeting a specific limb on your enemy, and then watch the bloody results unfold in slow motion. You aren't guaranteed a hit, though you can see how likely you are to strike any given limb and how much damage your attack might do. But landing a hit in V.A.T.S is immensely gratifying.
Easy there. Over here. Where? Ah.
Although you'll be spending much of your time wandering alone out in the wastes, there are some memorable cinematic sequences.
Hang on, you're not one of them. I nearly blasted you in two.
Your enemies put up a good fight, often too good considering that enemies that were a challenge earlier on can still be tough cookies 5 or 10 levels later. This scaling difficulty makes your sense of progression feel a bit more limited than in other role-playing games, but it does feel a little appropriate considering the game's open-ended nature and inhospitable world. After all, if skulking mutants weren't a constant threat, you wouldn't be afraid to peek into the dark corners. It's a shame in light of these elements that the PlayStation 3 version is shockingly inferior to the others from a technical perspective. While the 360 and PC versions display the occasional visual oddity, these nitpicks are easy to overlook. Sadly, the jagged edges, washed out lighting, and slightly diminished draw distance of the PS3 release aren't so easy to dismiss. We also experienced a number of visual bugs on that platform. But no matter which system you own, you should play Fallout 3, which overcomes its issues by offering a deep and involving journey through a world that's hard to forget. It has more in common with Bethesda's Elder Scrolls series than with previous Fallout games, but that's by no means a bad thing. In fact, Fallout 3 is leaner and meaner than Bethesda's previous efforts, less expansive but more intense, and it offers plenty of replay value and quite a few thrills along the way. Whether you're a newcomer to the universe or a Fallout devotee, untold hours of mutated secrets are lurking in the darkest corners of Washington.